Auzubillahiminashaitanirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Ji ayanu. Pakhairagale. Ni hao. Chunashume. Washmale. Ohio Gonzaimes. Guten Morgen. Hola. Bonjour. Privyet. Kaifahal. Halishama chatore. Ahlan wasalan. Marhaba. Buna. Mucho. Gracias. Suavi. Balli kare. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into PTV World. You watching World this morning alongside the very renewed Shahzad Ehsan Khan. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well and that you are ready to kickstart your day with us. I think that there might be a lot of people out there who will be thinking that, yeah, it's summertime and, this gentleman over here on television is actually wearing a cap. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's actually a background to it as well. And that was that, that after a long, long time, I'm very thankful in the first place to my entire team, to my producer, Jamshed Saab as well, to my boss, Mr. Masood Beg Saab, for allowing me to actually record shows in advance and then go for a vacation. And this time around, since, everybody was talking that, it's very difficult to travel in COVID and, the situation is difficult, you cannot go abroad and whatnot. So I thought, hey, you know what? Pakistan, alhamdulillah, is as beautiful as any other beautiful country on the globe as well. So why not go and explore? And me and Shiza, we've always been talking about how we are so anxious and how we actually wanted to go to the north of Pakistan as well. So this time around, I got the opportunity, and with my family and friends, alhamdulillah, I kind of set on that voyage as well, where, from Islamabad till China border, Khunjrab, I took a journey, and we will be doing a special program because I've made some short clips which I want to share with our audiences out there as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, just the representation of the culture of Gilgit and Baltistan, ladies and gentlemen, hence the cap is here, hence, this amazing feather is there as well. So, we will talk about it in detail. But since I was so excited about going to the north, so I thought that, I really need to share something with my viewers. So this cap, ladies and gentlemen, is a symbol of my journey to the north as well. And we will talk about it, but in days to come, inshallah. But other than that, I hope that, that in all of these days where we weren't really absent from the screen because we really put in a lot of hard work, made sure that we record shows for our audiences because they kind of crave for our show. Alhamdulillah, I'm very thankful to Allah Almighty. And I always say that, that gratitude is one of those things which will always make sure that you are settled, you have contentment in life as well. Jitna shukr ada karna hai apne Allah ka aap kare, and that's one thing which will obviously make sure that, that you have a settled life, inshallah. But other than that, whenever we talk about settled life, ladies and gentlemen, that truly depends on the economy of the country. And it truly kind of comes down to the kind of business ventures people are into, not just that, even if in our country we talk about it. So we kind of need to link it with the kind of population which is labored, skilled labored as well, and not just skilled labor, how many people are actually working out there, So we unfortunately talk about children who are out of school. We talk about people, who cannot actually get their hands onto a suitable job as well, where there are people who have a lot of degrees but still cannot work. So imagine that you have a lot of workforce which are trained and they have been educated as well, but they're not able to generate any income as well for themselves in the first place. Because eventually, when all of us will start to work, when there will be skilled labor, when there will be people out there who will be working day in, day out, I think that's going to kind of contribute towards the economy of the country. But how do we kind of come across the concept of economy? For that, obviously, I'm not an expert. We have experts over here in the studios, but there's 6 things which I've written down for my viewers' better understanding that these are the 6 factors, ladies and gentlemen, which definitely contribute to the economy of the country. What are those 6 factors? I'm going to share with you all. First of all, natural resources. We talk about natural resources. We know that Pakistan is rich with natural resources, ladies and gentlemen. We go to Balochistan, we go to Sindh, we talk about oil and gas exploration. There's not a single thing which is not present over here within this amazing motherland of ours, which we call Pakistan. Moving on, we need to come down to physical capital or infrastructure. Now since I've been to the north as well, till Khunjrab Pass, ladies and gentlemen, the road is immaculate and you're going to have a best journey as well. Now, there was one thing which I kind of observed, and that was that, since, it's a trade route, Karakoram Highway, 18-wheeler trucks come from China, they bring in a lot of stuff as well. We really need, some business spots, somewhere left or right of the KKH as well. How to do that, we'll definitely talk about that. Moving on, we need population and skilled labor. I've talked about that. Human capital, ladies and gentlemen, is very important, and that's where, the economy actually plays a very major role. Then moving down to technology, I have my reservations in terms of technological innovations as well and advancements. and the ways to use technology is something which we really need to learn as Pakistanis, because we say that we are an agrarian society, but one way or the other, people outside Pakistan are actually increasing their per capita yield as well, and that too with the help of technology. But where are we in terms of technology? And then law. So law definitely plays an important role. The law really needs to give you that space where you can venture into different fields as well, and that you have ease of business. And in terms of ease of business, alhamdulillah, with the incumbent government, we have really gone higher in the list as well. And so we're amongst those countries which are developing. The stock exchange was actually on number 7 in the world as well. So all the indicators kind of tell us that this incumbent government is actually on the right path, and that we are moving towards prosperity and success as well. Is that the case is something which we'll be talking about early in the morning. We're very lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody. Well, the list is long. While I was going through his profile, ladies and gentlemen, I was like, hey, you know what? This gentleman has done so many things in his life, so we should probably think about doing something else as well. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, he is CEO, APGA, All Pakistan Geoscientists Association as well. He's an energy expert. He is Mr. Adil Nasir. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Salam, good morning. Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Thank you very much for joining us, and it's wonderful to have you.
You're most welcome. What about you?
Absolutely perfect. Thank you very much for asking. And a lot of times, ladies and gentlemen, this happens that that we're like, hey sir, how are you? Are you great? And they're like, yes, I'm fine. So there's almost like, if you talk about out of 100%, only 20% will be like, oh, okay, how are you doing as well? So, thank you very much for asking that.
Most welcome.
But alongside Mr. Adil, ladies and gentlemen, one of my very favorite and amazing person. I think that whenever I come across him, he's one of those people who will always ignite that passion of doing whatever you want to do. And, he will be there for you as well. And he'll make sure that, he's going to push you to that limit where you really want to achieve your goals as well. So ladies and gentlemen, he first of all actually happens to be a business consultant helping other businesses to grow over here in Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the one and only Mr. Ibrahim Ahmed. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you very much for the very generous introduction. I feel really humble. Thank you very much. How are you doing?
Absolutely perfect. Thank you very much. So the percentage has gone to 30% now as well. But let's get started with the conversation. So Adil bhai, rather than asking you whether where are we in terms of economy, I think what I really want to talk about is that, when we talk about, for example, women empowerment, that's a very different subject, but globally the population of women is actually quite higher than men. And imagine that, if the half of the population of the country is going to work only, that truly means that the economy is not going to flourish as compared to if, for example, 80% of the population was working. So what's your take on this in the first place, and then come down to all of those factors which contribute to the economy of the country?
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to acknowledge the government initiatives on women empowerment program. And secondly, I would like to tell you that in my organization, All Pakistan Geoscientists Association, we have a community support program in which we are going to empower women.
Okay.
Just now, in the existing circumstances where Pakistan is going on, I think that men and women have equal rights.
Yep.
Both can work together.
True.
There is nothing to be worried that women cannot work, because now trend of the world is going to change, typically in the Pakistani system.
Exactly.
Now trends are slightly going to change. So women can work together in different segments. For example, if I talk about the oil and gas sector, this is typically a field job.
Yep.
And before 2000 or 1988 or in 90s, if we talk about the 90s, then there is a lack of knowledge with respect to the oil and gas exploration in women. But right now, we are facilitating women, or just like this, that
they kind of work as well, and they kind of contribute to the economy equally.
Yes,
Wonderful.
exactly.
So now moving on, so where do you think our economy is right now, and how do you think that it can get better?
Economy is going to be fine with the initiative of government. As we know that oil and gas exploration or other sources, which is the key parameters of boosting the economy. For example, oil and gas exploration.
Natural resources,
Yes,
first of all.
yes, natural resources. We have a typically, if we talk about the Pakistan region, Pakistan is a basically small market.
Yep.
We cannot export the energy because from right now we have a very minute resources of hydrocarbon. Even if I talk about the world, then we have only 30 to 40 years reserves in oil and gas sector. So we need to convert into the renewable energy.
Exactly.
If I talk about the Balochistan region and Sindh region, there is a lot of cushion to produce energy in form of solar, in form of wind. Typically in the Sindh region, Gwadar port, you know that we can produce infinity amount of energy from Gwadar port.
And we will definitely build up on that, but let me move on to Ibrahim Saab over here very quickly, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, very sorry, if you're feeling hot out there and you see my cap, I know how you're going to feel, but this is an equal representation of the Gilgit-Baltistan region, ladies and gentlemen. Ibrahim bhai, coming down to you, obviously with Adil bhai, we'll be talking about natural resources and how to kind of go about it. He said that, that the reserves are very low, but we really need to talk about renewable energy. Wonderful. Yes. You happen to be a business consultant. Now, I've seen for the last 10 years over here in Pakistan, while we were in university, my university days ended somewhere around 2010 and 11. So it's been 11 years that I've been out of university as well. Now, that was the time when everybody started to talk about entrepreneurship and how everybody needs to kind of build and create opportunities rather than seek an opportunity and take advantage and have a job.
Yes.
So what's your take in the first place? Do you think that a lot of workforce, because with YouTube in the first place, a lot of people are bringing in money to Pakistan, but we certainly do not have the proper procedures to kind of have tax evasions or probably the tax laws as well. And I've said that, one of the contributing factor to economy is law.
Yeah.
Now, in the first place, now when we see that there have been so many other inventions within the field of businesses or entrepreneurship, do you think that things are getting better every single day? Or do you think that, in one way or the other, it's not contributing to the economy?
No, absolutely. I think it's getting way better than, in fact, we even know.
Okay.
The reason why I'm saying this is recently, just few days back, we had an international report where Pakistan came into the top 75 countries of the world in terms of entrepreneurship.
MashaAllah.
Islamabad is on the second in the list, and then Pakistan is the second in South Asia as well, in country-wise. So when you say about 2010 or 2011, since then there's a lot of development, and now we see. People know some famous examples. For example, Careem was acquired recently about $3.1 billion from by Uber, right? So likewise, there are so many such examples, especially
$3.1 billion.
3.1 billion.
Wow.
Yeah. So likewise, there are so many other examples of local businesses. As you were talking about Gilgit-Baltistan region, because my work has taken me to almost all parts of this country. So what I've seen, there are two types of businesses that are working right now. One is at the micro level, and then there are the high growth, high impact businesses as well, right? And both of them are taking care of the economy really well. When I say that, because recently, even when, in the introduction, you were talking about government policies. Government has started introducing some startup-friendly policies as well. For example, in the West, when you go to the other countries, you would see most talented people would be running their own businesses, or at least would be part of some startup. Whereas in Pakistan, anyone who doesn't do anything would be a startup owner, right?
Exactly.
So what they have done now is SECP has actually given you and State Bank has actually given you an opportunity where you can have a equity people in your company with equity, right?
All right.
So for example, there are 5 people in the team and they don't have any money to pay each other as salary, so they can have equity. So one day when it becomes big, they can always liquidate it, right?
Yeah.
So that's why if you see globally, the PayPal mafia is there, right? And then same goes for Facebook and other and even for us in Careem as well, a lot of founders and the founding team members are now running very successful businesses.
Yeah.
So we see these examples. And I think the National Incubation Center, which is funded by Ministry of IT and Telecom here in Pakistan, across all provincial capitals and the federal, have done a remarkable job as well.
Exactly.
In terms of enabling those policy makers to kind of bring them on board and ask them to have those startup friendly policies.
Exactly.
Now I think the only reason if a person doesn't succeed or his or her business doesn't succeed is primarily because of himself or herself. You don't really have
their own ignorance.
Yeah. You don't really have another excuse, because now you have those policies, you have mentors available, you have experts available, you have those relevant domain specialists available. For example, let me give you an example. I think you might remember a few months back there was this drone who used artificial intelligence and planted seeds on the Magala Hills, where otherwise humans can't go. Where otherwise humans can't go, right? So likewise, the enablement of the technology, and the same drone can be used in the fields where through artificial intelligence, the drone would detect where there is an insect and the drone would kill it with the spray, instead of a farmer going to the whole field and
Exactly.
spraying on the whole field. So these are some of the examples. Now the question here is, what kind of ideas, what kind of products, what kind of services are we offering or we are bringing to the market?
Exactly.
I think we are having this discussion at a very right time. Recently we were in the list of Amazon as well.
Exactly.
And people are very happy that, okay, we are in Amazon. Actually, we were there as well before. But the point was the kind of services we provided, the kind of quality goods we provided. Because of that, they had to remove us out of the Amazon.
Exactly.
Now, since we are back again, so it's my humble request through this show to everyone listening, please try to have that customer satisfaction and try to deliver those quality products. And we can export so many cultural
Goods.
heritage of ours.
Just like this
cultural
cap.
exactly. And same goes, I mean, a lot of these brands, and then my humble, that's my personal frustration. Economic wise, economy wise, it might have different impact. In the cities like Sialkot, Gujarat, Wazirabad, for example, we have a lot of white label products.
Okay.
A white label product by definition is, where you can't put your logo, you mark, and you just export it.
And
No
then they
chance-
will put the logo on.
Exactly. So, I mean, we all know about the footballs and the other, garments and textile
Yeah.
industry in Faisalabad. Imagine you are so happy that, okay, you've got a shirt from your cousin who lives in abroad, but you never know it went actually from Faisalabad.
Exactly.
So
and
we need to cultivate those brands as well.
Exactly. I want to actually talk about that as well, where, Ibrahim Saab actually said that, that there are these examples as well, but we really need to build up on these examples and how many people are going to follow. But first things first, I think where credit's due where it's due, and I've always said that as well, and I stand with it that, I would love to thank NUST University today because it was their initiative in the first place to actually come up with an incubation center, and then everybody else followed, then HEC and then the National Incubation Center and the other. I think Ibrahim Saab might have a disagreement over here, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But what I want to talk about right now is that, okay, you've talked about service industry, you've talked about branding. Just like I was in Hunza, so I asked that particular guy, from where I got this cap, that do you have a t-shirt which says actually Hunza? So he's like, sir, I do have a t-shirt, but it's not going to fit you. But other than that, so my father is actually an industrialist himself, alhamdulillah. So we make sports socks. And we make sports socks for the best of the brands over here in the world as well. I cannot name them, but, think about the best sports brands. So we make socks for them. It actually costs us somewhere around 25 rupees a pair, but goes out to sell for $5 a pair as well. And they're not reusable, so they're disposable socks, imagine. We really need to come down to the branding. But very quickly, let me come down to Adil Saab over here. So now, Adil Saab, we've talked about the service industry, how we really need to brand our products, how we really need to deliver what we say, something, where we actually got off the list from Amazon as well. Because one day I ordered a piano for somebody's daughter, and in the picture it was this big. When I received it, it was this big. So that's a problem. And there were trust issues initially. So we really need to cater to that. But now coming back to where we really need to depend, or probably dwell into the natural resources of the country, which we haven't been because of, I don't know, some political issues or probably some other issues as well. Then there was terrorism in the country, thanks to Pakistan Army. Not just Pakistan Army, Pakistan Air Force, Pakistan Navy, that they've actually given us this platform now that, hey, what, do whatever you want to do. So what's holding us back?
Basically, fossil fuel right now is not sustainable product.
Okay.
Because with the maturation of hydrocarbon means oil and gas in a crude form. We don't have enough resources of hydrocarbon, and it needs a lot of time to develop beneath the Earth's surface.
Okay.
For example, it will take around billions of years to develop hydrocarbon reserves. So our hydrocarbon reserves are declined over the world, as I told you.
But all over the world, the people are now moving on to renewable energy sources. Imagine the cars are going to be charged electrically, even though that we are still not able to produce a car which can take us to Lahore with a single charge from Islamabad as well. So let's talk about renewable energy. Let's not talk about fossil fuels, because I think that era is gone now.
Yeah.
Now we need to come down to this point where, we're charging our cars, we're charging our cell phones as well, or probably one day we'll charging ourselves with electricity as well. Please go ahead.
This is a long history. If you remember, in 2010 as well as in 2011, the oil industry completely going into the slump.
Exactly.
Just because of oil prices. And world-renowned companies, for example, Schlumberger, Chevron, they fired a lot of
British
people.
Petroleum.
Yeah, British Petroleum.
Exactly.
Now it's converted into United Energy
Yeah.
Petroleum Limited. Now all these companies are working on renewable energy.
Exactly.
Because we don't have future prospects of hydrocarbon. As I told you, it needs a lot of time to develop, because it's basically it started from a single cellular organisms.
Exactly.
Then it developed into the kerogen. Kerogen is basically crude oil shape. It's a black color fluffy material. So it's a long time to develop into the hydrocarbon reserves,
Alright.
into the crude oil. So right now we have only 2 or 3 options: solar, wind, or you can say that solar or wind.
Hydro as well.
Hydro as well. If you remember, in last government, in Noon League government, if you remember the Thar coal project
Yeah.
of Samar Mubarak.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know.
Dr.
It's
Samar Mubarak,
yeah, if you remember,
I do.
maybe it's politicized, or there may be corruption involved, or there may be incompetency. A lot of national funds utilized in this project, but ultimately it is failed.
Exactly.
But right now we are working. Basically, there is a development of need. For example, if we don't have energy resources in form of hydrocarbon, then we are converted into solar or wind.
Yeah.
And our organization, All Pakistan Geoscientists Association, is working on this into renewable energy sources.
But sir, imagine, I think this is a dilemma. I think, imagine for somebody, because when you've done so many degrees, you've done MS in geophysics as well, you're MSc, you're a PhD, and in different fields as well.
Yeah.
Imagine when you went to university and you wanted to study geophysics, it was all about oil and gas exploration. So how everything has changed.
Yeah.
So probably we need to be up to date as well. But now the point where I want to come down is, imagine that Tesla obviously was one of the first brands to come up with electric vehicles as well, and now Europe's beating them in terms of battery and the kind of battery charge or the kind of mileage the battery is going to give. So imagine the competition is high.
Yeah.
Are we even into making batteries? Are we even into making electric vehicles as well? Because so far we have the first ever electric vehicle over here, with the name of MG, obviously, and they just recently did their launch as well. But we do not have charging stations. So imagine who's going to bring in the charging stations. We're bringing in the technology. We want the technology to come in, but we do not have the resource to kind of back that technology up. How are we going to work about that?
Basically, Higher Education Commission should take some initiative.
Exactly.
They must introduce the syllabus, the curriculum into the universities. There, so that by using different energy resources, by introducing different degree programs, we are able to produce such sort of energy resources.
Exactly.
Even I told you, the famous college is Imperial College of London, who is offering degree in geology, geophysics, or hydrocarbon reserves. They have closed this degree program because right now we don't have any energy resources in form of hydrocarbon. So in Pakistani region, this is directly dependent upon the industry as well, as industry and academia has closed liaison.
Exactly.
Right now, typically in energy sector, we have OGDCL, we have OGRA, we have Madi Gas, we have PPL, but there is a lot of nepotism involved, And in private sector, a few jobs only available, because they only can hire you as an internee, and after 2 or 3 months
of working for free, you might not get the job, or you might get the job.
Yeah. So in the existing circumstances where we don't have job or energy crisis, or companies are closing its operation nationwide or internationally in form of oil and gas sector, we have different wings in All Pakistan Geoscientists Association: sustainable development, geosciences, climate change, environmental sciences. And we are working on this. We have signed different MOUs, national or internationally. Then we have signed different MOU with respect to the training aspects, because training is very important if you want to inaugurate some sort of projects like solar or wind. So we are going to train the people, and we are going to convert people from the hydrocarbon to the solar and wind.
Wow, that's wonderful. This is something we want. And for everybody who's out there, so this is something which I've heard, and I will confirm it inshallah in tomorrow's shows as well, that State Bank is rather actually giving out loans to people, small loans to people, to convert to solar energy as well. So this is something which I'll check upon, but this is something which I've heard about, and I'm sure that the news is actually authentic, because the source I have is something which I truly rely on as well. But Ibrahim Bhai, now coming back to you, I have very interesting question for you, which I think is very interesting.
I hope it's not out of syllabus.
It's not out of syllabus, but just like so I was in conversation with Adil Saab, and Adil Saab said that our universities really need to incorporate new syllabi, and there needs to be new discipline which we really need to learn about. So same goes with businesses as well, because the way people are doing businesses these days, I mean, talk about Amazon, talk about YouTube, talk about Facebook, talk about cryptocurrency, blockchain. I think we are always very hesitant, and we are not willing to take that initiative in the first place, where the world's going to take advantage of it as well, right? Even if the Bitcoin is going to go down, I mean, there might have been that right window where the country might have invested in it and could have earned a lot of money out of it. Why do you think we are so hesitant to kind of invest into new ventures? Why are we so scared? Why do you think that the State Bank cannot actually allow people to kind of trade with cryptocurrency or blockchain technology?
Particularly for crypto, I think because it's still not worldwide, it's accepted, right?
Understood.
Yeah,
I think not
and
accepted, but
give you-
understood.
Understood, yes. Let me give an example. Last year, the largest conference of Bitcoin did not accept Bitcoin as a fees.
Yeah.
This should tell you something. So that's for Bitcoin point.
Okay.
Part. Otherwise, I mean, when you talk about not just like I said, State Bank, SECP has actually started, easing out their processes for the businesses, for the ease of doing business as well. And that is one reason why, in fact, in this recent government, we have this Kamyab Jawan program of PM as well, that is helping businesses as well with small loans as well. And then we have organizations like Hoover who provides you those loans. You were just talking about electric vehicles, so if you might have seen those easy bikes here in Islamabad, right? You don't have a ride, but you want to go to somewhere instead of any other ride-hailing service. You just take that bike, you go to your station, park it, and then you are on your own, right? So, and when you talk about HEC, and why we are not very comfortable with these new ideas and new policies is primarily, I think it's part of our national belief system, because we work, unfortunately, I would say, and it's part of our social conditioning as well, because we operate on speculations. Whenever the new things come in, even if you talk about, for example, if you come, because our major income bracket is lower middle class or lower middle class, so whenever you take an idea, whenever you take an initiative to them, they will be like, what if it doesn't go well? So there is a lot of fraud in it. For example, I'll give you a simplest example of real estate. Forget about your career or anything else. You're like, okay, there is this society and I want to invest in it and I want people to contribute. They're like, you're not sure if they'll be there. I think it's a fraud, it's a scam. So everything starts with the no. Hence this distrust, has this people then look for what we call in Urdu jugaad, because they look for easy way of making money, and once they do that, like you gave the example previously of piano in e-commerce. So there are a lot of things, when we talk about machine learning, artificial intelligence, e-commerce, cryptos, blockchains, and a lot of people are doing a lot of work by the way. And now, like Dr. Sir was saying, I would again humbly beg to disagree in a way, because now all this information is available in YouTube on online courses as well. We no longer need to wait for HEC to introduce anything, because the problem is not.
And people are doing so as well.
Yeah, so the problem is not the HEC and its courses. Problem is the implementation and who is teaching it. Whenever you go to top of the notch universities in Pakistan, they'll have a very kick-ass kind of syllabus for entrepreneurship. Right? But then when you see with no offense to anyone, a person would be teaching who might have not done a single rupee business. Right? So the course content is there.
And the concept needs to change.
Yeah, so we need to have more practitioners coming into the education sector who can bring in the industry thing, because they know the real time problems. For example, imagine a university going out to Sialkot, for example, and say, tell me what are your problems. So let's just say they think of 5 problems which are common among the industry. They take it to the university and they convert it into FIPs. And now the students know whatever their solutions are would be automatically deployed in the industry, and they have a customer on day one. So we need these kind of interventions. We don't really need a change in syllabus. We probably need practitioners coming into the academia, and academia going out to the industry. We've been talking about industry academia linkages. It is there for MOUs. It is there for discussions or photos. But unfortunately, they're not being converted into FIPs or commercial products.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Ibrahim Bhai. That was flawless as well. Thank you very much, Adil Bhai. It was flawless on your end as well. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a bit of conversation in terms of how to kind of build upon those tools, which is finally going to enhance the economy of the country as well. And that is where Ibrahim Sahab was exactly right, that when it comes down to signing memorandums of understanding, we might have thousands of them as well. But when it comes down to how practical that entire project was, or how it's going to be implemented, is something where we lag behind as well, and that's where we need to bridge the gaps as well. Other than that, a lot of people are actually working on NFTs these days as well. Shoaib Akhtar Saab has actually launched his own non-fungible token. Alhamdulillah, I'm glad that I was a part of that initiative. Thanks to Waqar Zaka for that as well, because he was the first guy who actually contacted me, who wanted to get through to Shoaib bhai as well. So I think everybody needs to play their role wherever their capacity is, and we really need to move towards these newer technological advancements, because that definitely looks the way forward, and that is the way forward. For example, I'm going to take you back in time, where people like me, for example, if I'm 34 years old as of today, alhamdulillah, there was a time when I was about to go to my university that my father's friends would actually recommend that you should actually do a degree in information technology, and I think that they were saying the right thing as well. And now when we see at it, or when we look at it, for all of those my friends who actually did information technology, someone's in Sweden and someone's in Silicon Valley, alhamdulillah, I'm thankful to Allah Almighty that I'm actually over here at PTV as well, making sure that all my viewers out there are going to be aware of all of these technological advancements every single day, and we are going to actually stand by this mission of ours as well. We're actually going for a short break, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. Wonderful to have you. Did you like my hat?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, we're actually heading out towards a short break, and where we spoke about women empowerment in the first place and how women empowerment contribute massively to the economy of the country, is something which we'll be talking about. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
बेहतर तौर पे रन करने के लिए इनका जो तरीका है, इनको मैनेज करने का तरीका जो है, उसमें हम बेहतरी लाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। उस सिलसिले में आपने नाम सुना होगा, ये जो MTI मेडिकल टीचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स का कानून है, इसके तहत क्या होगा कि गवर्निंग बोर्ड होंगे जो बराह रास्त ज़िम्मेदार होंगे इन इदारों की सरपरस्ती और इनकी देखभाल के लिए, ताकि जो यहाँ की मैनेजमेंट है उनकी मदद हो इदारों को बेहतर चलाने के लिए। और इसमें यह इदारे इसी तरह से जैसे कि पब्लिक सेक्टर के इदारे चलते हैं पब्लिक की सर्विस के लिए, ये उसी तरह चलते रहेंगे, लेकिन उनकी मैनेजमेंट में बेहतरी आपको नज़र आएगी। तो ये कुछ चंद एक बेहतरी की तरफ के लिए कोशिशें हैं जिसका मैं ज़िक्र करना चाहता था, लेकिन ज़ाहिर है आके देखना भी ज़रूरी था कि ऑन ग्राउंड यहाँ मौजूदा सूरत हाल क्या है और मरीज़ों के साथ कैसा इलाज हो रहा है, और अगर उनकी कोई शिकायत हैं तो उनको दूर किया जाए। आपकी तवज्जो का बहुत शुक्रिया। अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. For everybody who just got tuned into PTV World, you're watching World This Morning alongside Shahzad Hasan Khan. Ladies and gentlemen, earlier we were in conversation with energy experts and business consultants, where we were talking about what are those tools with which we can take advantage and contribute to the economy of the country. But one of those things which I mentioned right at the beginning of the program was that, I think that, that the workforce really needs to kind of come forward and needs to work as well. And in those terms, if you talk about workforce, I believe that, the global population of women is more than 55%, ladies and gentlemen. So the women actually needs to step up in the game as well. But they obviously play a very active role in parenting over here in Pakistan, as we really need to kind of consider the kind of culture we have. but we really need to kind of find ways around as well. Now, especially in times of COVID, we have seen that there's been a lot of domestic violence as well. A lot of people have actually had to quit their jobs, or there was a lot of downsizing taking place, and the larger impact was obviously taken by the women workforce as well. So to talk about women empowerment, why it's important, how to kind of spread awareness, and women after 2021 is something which we wanted to talk about. We're lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody who's actually trained more than thousands and thousands of people as well, more than 400 business CEOs as well. So she's the lady who we really need to talk about women empowerment. Ladies and gentlemen, we're lucky that we've actually been joined by Ms. Sara Afzal on Skype as well. Hello, Sara. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Walaikum assalam, Shazad. Good morning to you too. How are you doing?
Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you, and you're already in your office, I believe.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So, Sara, first things first. Obviously, everybody over here talks about women empowerment. I think that, we have coined the term so many times that, we at times kind of, get agitated with this own term. So, we really need to come up with a newer word as well. But in the first place, when we talk about women empowerment, why do you think it's important? And, the kind of themes and slogans coming out, or Aurat March, do you think that all of these initiatives are going to play a role towards increasing the percentage of women empowerment?
Okay, Shazad, let me first take you a little in the past.
Sure.
When Women Days were being started, when Women Days started being celebrated. So the first Women Day that was celebrated was in 1911.
Okay.
Right? So more than a century ago, actually. So to celebrate, the purpose was to celebrate the achievements of women. Why Women Day was being celebrated was to celebrate the achievements that were made by women, because they were never brought into limelight. And then to raise the awareness about women equality, to create gender parity, to raise funds for female-focused charities. Because women were never given that much of an importance back then. So since then, it has been started being celebrated, and by celebrated, I mean to say that we have this day just to recognize that women exist. So I personally think that regarding the campaigns that you have asked, I personally think that campaigns these days have taken light out of more important issues. So only here in Pakistan, worldwide, women days, women marches, everything, they are shedding greater light into the core issues. But here in Pakistan, we are lagging behind. We need to look beyond whatever we are doing right now. The context of women empowerment has totally been taken out of the I don't know what to say as a term right there, but the actual women empowerment issue has been taken out of its own context, and people are like more. Women empowerment is more than what you and I think of it. It is. Western countries are doing great work, but even in Pakistan, some people are doing great work, but that is not being brought forward, not into the limelight. So I think first we need to understand one thing, and that is we need to talk about, when we talk about women rights, please understand these rights were given to women centuries ago by the religion. So one thing we need to be clear on is we are not asking anyone to give us any kind of rights. All we need to understand, and we need to make people aware, is that all we need to change is the culture, to raise awareness that these are the rights given to women by religion also, by law also. We need to exercise them. So all this women empowerment talk being done is actually to raise that awareness. Like, which rights I'm talking about? Women empower. How are you going to empower women? By making them educated. So when I talk about women empowerment, I talk about the right to education, the right to inheritance, the right to no violence. So all these are clearly stated in your books of law, in Quran, in everywhere you can think of. So the rights
That's
have
true,
been
and thank you
granted.
very much,
So
Sara, for kind of, thank you very much for sharing, these actually very important characteristics of women empowerment, where you said that, you know, right to inheritance, right to education, you know, right
Yeah.
to no violence as well, right to kind of do whatever they want to do as well, because, you know, they're individuals and they want to do whatever in life. I think they should be actually given that liberty. In fact,
Yes.
not given, they have that right as well in the first place. Thank you very much for saying that. And I believe that, you know, after ages, I've actually come across somebody who actually makes sense while talking about women empowerment. And thank you very much for saying that, you know, with all of these themes and Aurat March and slogans, we kind of go out of context as well, rather than focusing on what women empowerment really is. So thank you very much for
Exactly.
establishing that in the first place. But now coming down, when we talk about such awareness, first things first, do you actually come across any other word rather than women empowerment? Because we have coined it so many times that, you know, at times when I talk about it, I'm like, yaar, ye फिर से हम वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट की बात करें तो कोई टर्म ऐसी होनी चाहिए, वी शुड यूज सच टर्मिनोलॉजी विच एक्चुअली शुड ब्रिंग मीनिंग टू इट, यू नो, रादर देन जस्ट ब्रैगिंग अबाउट वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट होनी चाहिए, बिकॉज यू मेड एब्सोल्यूट सेंस व्हेन यू सेड दैट, यू नो, राइट टू इनहेरिटेंस, यू नो, राइट टू एजुकेशन, वायलेंस नहीं होना चाहिए. So let's come up with something other than women empowerment which people can relate to in the context of it in the first place. Number two, how do you think that we spread this kind of awareness, where you were very rightfully about what women empowerment really is?
Okay. Okay, Shehzad, I think that if we are going by the sense that we talk, मेरा नहीं ख्याल कि कोई भी वर्ड स्पेसिफिक इस तरह का होना चाहिए. I do not believe in that, because all we need to do is understand that, establish the fact that women are also humans, and all we talk about is human growth and human development. So our society should be, whenever we talk about human development or human growth, our society or the concept should be inclusive of men and women both. So why it is called women empowerment is because that is not being coined specifically. People don't understand that women are also the part of that whole workforce or
Who are these
the
people?
scope.
This is something I
Yeah.
need to ask. Who are these people who do not think
That's
like
the
that?
general society that we have made of. And let me answer the second part of your question, like how we can bring that awareness in society. So that is by promoting it in curriculum or educating people about it. So we as a I'll be sharing a lot of statistics in my talk today. So let us first consider that when we talk about the education, right? So on an average, if we study the statistics, uh, there is a program, United Nations Development Program. They do a study, and they rank the countries with respect to health, with respect to education, with respect to income. And Pakistan's education index, make a guess, it's calculated for 189 countries. So what is the statistic of Pakistan?
I think the
Where
last
does
time I read
Pakistan
about it,
stand
we were
out of
somewhat around
189
150.
countries? Yeah.
I think the last time I read about it was somewhat around 152 or 156 something.
We'll be lucky if we are 156. We
I
are
think
171. That's the borderline. From there are four categories, A, B, C, D, and that is borderline D category. So we are touching the last category. जो बिल्कुल भी जो below it will be Ethiopia and the countries like that who are surviving for basics, right?
that's sad.
So Pakistan is 171 on its education index out of 189 countries as of 2020, right?
Exactly.
So on an average, if we calculate, we are a nation that is primary level of education, so fifth grade.
Okay.
So if we take an average of the whole nation, so your qualification and mine, and then the people living in villages and everyone, so the mean is fifth grade. So on an average, when we are at that level of education, how are we going to understand that women empowerment is something,
Exactly. That's true, and thank you
right?
very much for kind of saying that as well, because it will definitely open up for all of those people who are think tanks, for all of those people who are actually tuned in today. I think that it's going to widen their horizon as well. And not just that, Sarah, I'm going to actually share one of my own incidents where I was traveling to the north, and I could feel over there within Gilgit-Baltistan that there were restaurants which were actually run by women only. There were places which were run by women only as well, and they were so kind, and the workforce was brilliant. And not just that, I think that, the women over there in the Gilgit-Baltistan region actually contribute to the economy very well. And I believe
Oh,
that that's the way
yes.
forward.
Women, wherever they are given opportunities to work, they work wonders. So I'll
Exactly.
be keep on sharing statistics with you. So you'll be like, it'll be very great discussing about it.
Exactly. But then at the same time, since we are talking about, and you mentioned as well that, we really do not need to label it women empowerment. We really need to talk in
Yeah.
terms of where men and women are equal, and that's how we need to go about it. So let's come down to gender parity. Where do you think we are in terms of gender parity?
Okay, first of all, here, Shehzad, we need to understand the basic concept that when it is said that women need equal rights, by no means we want to call it that they need to do the same jobs that men are doing. Normally जब होता है ना कि women needs to be given equal rights, तो जो पहली बात होती है ना कि अच्छा आप भी weight lifting कर लें और इस तरह की talks we often hear people saying कि अच्छा तो फिर आप equal होना चाहते हैं तो आप ये काम कर लें. That's wrong. When we talk about equal rights to women or about gender parity, that means women should be given, number one, the same respect that men are getting, right? And secondly, and more importantly, they should be given equal pay as of men. So
Yeah.
let me share another statistic here with you. And this is not only in Pakistan, right?
It's all over the world.
Worldwide research, it's all over the world. Worldwide research says women are 21% more productive than men, right? And
Okay.
still they get 11% less paid than men. For the same job you are doing and I am doing, I'm 21% more productive than you, and you are getting 11% more paid, right? So
Yeah.
just sum it up, and that brings it to 32% of total difference in the wages,
Exactly.
right? And
Yeah.
secondly, the World Economic Forum, they published a, gender gap report in 2020 that says it will take 257 years for women to be equal to men at the current rate of progress. So gender parity को जितना हम मैच करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, आज के रेट के ऊपर चले तो 257 years लगेंगे gender parity create होने में. इतना gap
That's a
exist
long way.
करता है.
That's a long way to go, Sarah. But unfortunately, we had a number of questions to ask from you, and you truly are the right person to actually ask or probably talk about women empowerment or in terms of gender parity as well. But thank you very much for your time. For contributing to that awareness, which we have really set our voyage on as well. Because over here at PTV World, even my co-host actually gets paid equally as well, and we kind of contribute equally. And when
Great to
where you
know.
talk about whether who was more productive is something for our audiences to decide. But other than that, obviously, since you were sharing all of these researches, so obviously you're backing your argument with the research as well. And so thank you very much for being a part of it. We really need to vouch for it as well, and we really need to work together to kind of bring that kind of economic growth over here in this region in terms of women
Definitely.
empowerment. Thank you very much, Sarah, for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And for everybody, ladies and gentlemen, who's out there, this is one of those topics which is always close to my heart, and we really need to do so because even in my household, all my 5 sisters, alhamdulillah, work every day as well, and we make sure, our parents make sure that every single individual of the house needs to work, and it's good for us as well. We have a small report to share on women empowerment, and once you guys will come back, we'll make sure to say some goodbyes.
Women empowerment can be defined to promoting women's sense of self-worth, their ability to determine their own choices, and their right to influence social change for themselves and others. It is closely aligned with female empowerment, a fundamental human right that also is a key to achieving a more peaceful, prosperous world. In some countries, women face a higher rate of discrimination and violence than the male due to social norms and beliefs. Many are deprived of their rights to healthcare, education, employment, political participation, and inheritance. For that matter, Pakistan has adopted a number of key international commitments to gender equality and women's human rights. National commitments in place include a national policy for development and empowerment of women, protection against harassment of women at workplace act, criminal law, and a national plan of action on human rights. Local commitments adopted include gender equality policy frameworks and women's empowerment packages and initiatives.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that was a small report for a better understanding as well. But throughout, I think that we did a wonderful job today as well, and we're going to continue with these wonderful jobs throughout the week as well. Please make sure to write to us on our Facebook, Twitter pages as well, which are with the name of World This Morning. The repeat is going to be at 5 past midnight. Till the next time, look after yourselves. Good morning.